this is Chef Megan with the Edible Schoolyard New Orleans, and this is a technique video about a technique called kneading, and that starts with a K. Kneading is when we are working a dough together like a pizza dough or a bread dough with our hands. Now, this is one of the most fun things that we can do in the kitchen, and so we try and do it a lot at school, but it also has the potential to be the biggest mess. So part of this technique video is going to be to show you how to knead the proper way so that your hands don't become sticky, messy dough all over. In order to show you how to knead, we are going to make a dough recipe that is super easy. It can be used for pizza dough, flatbread, like a pita type bread. It's only 2 ingredients and like 2 or 3 tools. So first off, shout out to my sister for showing me this recipe. We've used it so many times ever since she showed it to me. And all you need is self-rising flour, and if you don't have that, it's actually really simple to make this from all-purpose flour, baking powder, and salt, so that is included on the recipe. So again, self-rising flour and yogurt. Ideally it's fat-free Greek yogurt, but I have known friends to try just regular yogurt, Greek yogurt with fat in it. It all works out okay, so don't worry about that. And so this is an excellent opportunity for middle schoolers to practice ratios. And the ratio for this recipe is 1 part yogurt to 1.5 parts self-rising flour. So I don't need that much dough. I'm just gonna make a couple little pizzas. And so I'm just gonna do that straight up. So 1 part or 1 cup of Greek yogurt to 1.5 cups of self-rising flour. If you need more dough, you can multiply it up. For instance, if you want to do this twice, you would need 2 cups of yogurt, and then how many cups of self-rising flour? If it's 1 to 1.5, we do this 1 times 2 is 2, 1.5 times 2 is 3. So I'm gonna use just my 1/2 cup measure here, and I'm going to do my flour first. So I need 1.5 cups of flour. Just gonna level with my finger. 2 and 3. And then I'm gonna go right in for my yogurt, and I'm gonna do 2 1/2 cups. So that's level. And that is level. Make sure it's all out with my spatula. We're done with that. So I'm just gonna mix this up. Should only take a few seconds here. Okay, our dough is coming together. It's almost in a solid mass. I had to scrape off the spatula a few times to get the yogurt into here. Had to kind of smash it with my spatula a little bit to get it formed. But now what we're gonna do is take, and this is where the mess can start, by the way, is take a little bit of our flour and just spread it on our cutting board. Kids always want to use more and more and more flour, but we don't want our pizza dough to get all dry. So keep the flour close to your side so that we can't just keep adding some. Also, the level of mess is kind of up to you. Kids are always wanting to touch each other with floury hands, touch themselves, get flour all over their clothes. So if you're cool with that, I am cool with it, but it is up to you. So I'm gonna tilt this camera down. We put our dough down on the cutting board. Again, it's lightly floured. So what we're gonna do now is start kind of pushing this big piece of dough to kind of try and get up all those dry pieces. And probably the adult or the older kid will want to do this part. And then once you have a nice, pretty solid mass, you can add a little more flour and give every kid that you're working with a little bit of flour. This looks great. This is where the fun part comes in. So I would section off a piece for every kid that is working with you. Give it to them, and before they start, here is what I would say, and I'm just going to use one. I have everyone show me their penguin hands, and by penguin hands I mean that your fingers are together, stuck together. You have a little thumb, and you look like a penguin. And usually we kind of like walk around and look like penguins at that point. It's pretty fun. Anyways, we want our penguin fingers. We do not want to be grabbing at the dough like this. That is what is going to make your fingers get covered with dough, and then it's going to be really hard to get off, and then you're going to lose half of your pizza dough. So everyone has penguin fingers. And then for the older kids, we really emphasize using the heel of your hand or the palm of your hand. We can say this to little kids too. They just like the penguin hands better. And so we're going to make sure we have our flour, and when you get your dough as a kid, you want to push down and then fold it, push, fold, push, fold. We are never grabbing, squeezing, pulling apart. We want to keep it in this one little ball and work with the heel of our hand, fingers together to squish it and fold it. Now, we can have fun with this still. And again, you notice I'm adding flour. This recipe, sometimes you need a little bit more. That's fine. Again, I would keep it close to me rather than letting kids scoop out their own flour. But you can have fun with this. You can pound it. You can get out some of your frustrations. You can throw it. You just want to be working that dough out. And you're trying to build up the gluten in there so we have a nice chewy pizza dough. So there are not rules. However, like I said, you do not want to really get a situation where a kid has dough all over their fingers, because it's really hard to clean off, and then you're going to miss a lot of your product. So I'm just going to show you a few more kneads here. I like to fold and press, fold and press, fold and press. If your hands do start getting sticky, rub them in a little bit of flour. Press, press. And for this particular recipe, we want to knead this dough for about 8 to 10 minutes. So I'm going to keep kneading this dough and use it for another video, which you can tune in for. I'm going to make individual pizzas. But anytime you are making bread dough, anytime you want to make this pizza dough, this is how we want to knead